With that, I would like to bring up Stefan Swanepoel.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you this morning? Excellent. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. You have been told a few times this morning that information and data and knowledge and all that stuff is important. And if I hear what you've already heard, you probably already have overload. Right? So the hard thing is to try and decipher all the information out there. So I cannot predict the future. I am not Jesus, I'm not the Dalai Lama, I'm not the Pope, right? I don't know anything more about the future than you do. What we do know a little bit more is we are a research company. We are an analysis company. So we will take reports that have been created by other people, research, information, newspaper, we will create our own surveys and studies, and you will look at information and you will try and say, what the hell does it mean? Because it's easy sometimes to read a newspaper and get confused. Because there are so many different opinions. I'm not here to sell you anything today, I'm not here to give you an opinion, and neither am I going to tell you what's going to happen in the future. I'm going to try and give you an indication of some of the resources that you potentially can use. They have referred to this report quickly, which I will give you the URL at the end of this report, at the end of the session, where you can go download all these reports free and gratis. I'm not trying to sell them. I will talk about this one for a few seconds. This is the danger report which that people refer to. It is an acronym for the definitive analysis of negative game changers emerging in real estate. It's just a catchy title, right? Just got your attention, that's all. This was commissioned by the National Association of Realtors. It is focused on the residential real estate industry. So it basically said, let us look, and you'll see it's color-coded. So it's got multiple sections. This is about 150 pages. But it is a fairly easy read. It is something that you will probably read in about 2 or 3 hours. You don't have to read it cover to cover. It's got a section on technology, on MLSs, on associations, on brokers, on agents. And it discusses the things that it is believed are the most significant things we should be considering in the future. It doesn't say what's going to happen, because we don't know. Also, all of our reports do not cover the economy. For that, we have Dr. Lawrence Young, which is going to speak after me. We have an economist. NAR is one of the best economists in the country. He tracks housing trends, mortgage trends, commercial trends. So when we do reports, we exclude anything to do with the economy. Then there's one more thing we exclude. Acts of God. We do not account for 9/11 or Katrinas or Irmas or terrorist attacks. Because anything that happens this afternoon, everything's out the window. Right? Rules can change overnight. So we do not get hung up about the economy. I leave that to Lawrence to worry about. We do not worry about things that we have no influence over. If the hurricane's going to hit, it's going to hit. I still have my business. I still have to run my shop. What we try and look at are those things that you do have an influence over. As a leader, there are certain strategic decisions, business decisions, information decisions, management decisions, capital decisions, expansion decisions, technology decisions that you do have an influence over. You do have a control of that. So we look at that. These documents are easy to read. They're not trying and make it hard for you. They basically say, I'll look at the commercial one in a second, this company said that, this organization said that, we get backup information from this. This is questionable. This maybe, if we look at the total picture, it would most likely look like this is the kind of stuff which you should look at. So we put things on your radar. When you finish it, you are going to know what should be on your radar. Because when we do these reports, not only did it interview 10,000 people through a survey system, I personally interviewed 80 CEOs of the largest companies in the industry, both on the association side, the MLS side, the technology side, the franchise side, the brokerage side, national, public, private, doesn't matter. Basically, ask everybody the same question. What keeps you up at night? I'm not talking about the person next to you in the bed. I'm talking about business-wise. What keeps you up at night? And if you get an answer, you say, all right, let me take the politics out of the answer, because all of us have a political agenda. Take the politics out, take the emotion out. Let's just look at as much as I can determine is facts. And I try to put the facts involved. So this is the residential one. We did one also for Canada. The one that asked us to talk about today, before I get to that one, this is the one which is in the residential industry, which is more forward-looking. This one analyzes the industry. This one is more forward-looking. Then the National Association of Realtors came to us and said, Could we do one for the commercial industry? This is the one I'm going to quickly cover this morning. I'm not going to give you all the answers. You're going to have to read it yourself. You lazy son of a, you know what? This is 125 pages. There's no ads in here. It's not a magazine. There are no ads here with pictures. There's no center spread that you can fold open, right? This is reading. This will take you a good solid night. I would recommend a highlighter in your hand. Going through and say, interesting, I knew that, I did not know that. This applies to my shop, this applies to my market. This Florida issue, right? But when we write these things, in most cases, most of this will apply to you. Why? Because we write at a high level. This is not intended for agents. This is not intended for people that don't care. This is leaders, CEO, decision maker, people who want to be change agents, people who want to be first, people who want to dominate. This is a strategic kind of a document. So it's a fairly solid read. You can read a page once through and say, I didn't get all of that, and go back. I read my own stuff sometimes and say, who the hell wrote that? These reports sometimes take some, like these reports which we do every year, they take 400 to 600 hours to write. It's not a blog post, not Facebook, which I see half of you are on this morning while you're in the room. So this is not a fun, this is actual material. So we're going to try and cover this for you very quickly this morning to give you just a snapshot. Now in the case of the commercial industry, yes, we understand that residential and commercial are nothing alike. They're two separate worlds. I fully acknowledge that. I've been an agent for a commercial company. I've been an agent for a residential company. I have started a company. I have sold it to a public company. And I've been CEO of a public company with 26,000 agents. I'm on your side. I'm not an outside guy. I don't sell real estate today. I stopped doing that 20 years ago for the simple reason, not because I lost my job, but because I love writing books. I've now written 35. I do one every 120 to 150 days for the last 5 years, and I've written one as far back as about 20 years ago, which at that stage I was doing one every 2 years, and then one 2 a year. I've now got it down to science. I can turn out 3 books a year, and I've done so for the last 5 years. That's what I wanted to do. But I only write about one thing. I only write about real estate. I don't write about Donald Trump. I don't care, right? And it's not about Clinton. For me, it's about real estate space. So in this case, I needed to speak to people. So whether we research previous publications, and in this publication, every document that we read or researched, I listed for you. So if you said, oh, well, I want more than just the executive summary, sure, go get it. But we read thousands of pages. I don't remember the stats for this one. I remember the residential one. I think, if I remember correctly, we read 4,000 pages of reports. So when you find a CBRE which puts out a great report, or a Stanford University or Harvard, or an NAR, or a CCIM, or a SIOR, if they put out a report, Overland Institute, great, bring it, I'll read it. Because if somebody puts something to Word, if somebody puts something to a document, they've usually done their homework. Doesn't mean it's right. You don't have to agree with what you read. But it's easy when you speak to say anything because I can say, oops, I didn't mean that. You understood me wrong. I'll pull that statistic back. But when I put something in writing, damn it, it's in print. You're going to come back 6 months and say, you said it. Here, 22%, right? So when you put something in writing, you tend to be a little bit more thorough, a little bit more detailed because you're so scared that you're going to be wrong. And of course you can be wrong, right? Of course we'll be wrong. But the goal is not to be wrong because that's embarrassing. Even when there's a typo, and I have 3 people read everything I write, but even when a typo gets you're like, oh, how did that happen? So what are we going to look at? I want to quickly take you just through the highlights. Now, this report is cool. Not because I wrote it. There was a team of people that wrote it. Yes, I was leader of the team, but there was a team of people who wrote it. It is cool because we went to the CEOs and the leaders of many of our big companies. The CBREs, and yes, we went to smaller ones, and we went across the country, and we tried to cover different states. And then when we went to like the people that introduced me, like the committee people, we went to them and asked them the same question. Okay, what keeps you up at night? What are you worried about? What troubles you? We took all of that information, dissected it down to a document and said, you know what keeps you up at night is the same thing that keeps her up at night. And you guys don't even know each other, right? And the one is in Florida, and the one is in California. So when there's when you start seeing patterns, similarity, trends, you say that has a higher weighted average. Now there are many things in this report which we said one person mentioned it. That doesn't mean that it's not important. It's just only one person spoke about it. And then there were things which everybody spoke about. Wow. So what we have done is, I think there are 9 sections here in which we have identified. I'll take you through the 9 very quickly to show you the things that the people have said, this is important. In this document, I will give you a 6-7 page summary every time of that issue. Time doesn't permit me today to go through all of that for you in detail, because we could spend hours just on one topic, which is cool and passionate. But get the document free. Now what I did do is, these are nice bound copies, because I'm probably gray hair as well, like some of you. And the iPad sometimes is small, right? The iPhone's small. So I like the paper stuff. I have got about 30 of these printed and bound full color copies for you here at the front. So I don't have copies for everybody, but I took what I had in the storerooms, which I was able to get from NAR, because this report was sponsored by NAR, and I brought them with. But if you're not able to get a copy from me at the end of the day, don't worry. I will give you the URL, courtesy of NAR and your local association. You can go download it free, and you can share it with your people. The intention of NAR and the association is to share information. Right? It's a knowledge exercise. That's what Lawrence also does. There's lots of work which has been done by NAR and sometimes by advisors or consultants for NAR, which assist in gathering information, because you don't have the time, the energy, the desire, or the want to fly across the country and go speak to 20, 30, 40, 50 CEOs and ask them a question. It'll cost you days and days and days a week. We did that for you. So, one of the things that kept on coming up is just the fact that the world is now a global market. We are a big market, and because we are a big money market, that means money comes from multiple places. Like everything in life, that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing from the point of view that we now have access to more money, because it's in more places, it comes from multiple places. The globe has become smaller. That's cool. But at the same time, it also means that we are some way, in some cases, slightly dependent on what happens elsewhere. I took just 1 or 2 quotes every time from the chapter, which I thought was a good quote from somebody that I felt sort of summarized the intent of the chapter. It doesn't give you all the answers, and I know anybody can quote anything, but if I speak to you for an hour and I speak to 80 people, I've got thousands and thousands and thousands of quotes. So I have no intention to try and give you a quote which is out of the average. So when I put you up a quote there, it's somebody who said that who I felt that really captured the general spirit of the people. You'll see we don't add names to the quotes because it's not about the person. It's not we're not a media company. We're not a news company that says, guess what happened yesterday. Although yesterday is most certainly very important from a local point of view, from a big picture point of view, from a strategy point of view, from a management point of view, I don't care what happened yesterday. I don't run my business on yesterday. I am aware of yesterday and I calibrate for yesterday. Do I read the news every day? Oh, absolutely. But I don't get paranoid about what happened yesterday. I'm upset what happened in Vegas. I don't suddenly close my company because something happened in Vegas yesterday. I'm upset about it. I can have a moment of silence for it. I can reach out. I can donate to help people. My company stays on track. My company is still going in a direction, which is the same business plan I wrote 3 years ago, whether there was a shooting or not in Vegas. So local news, regional news, yesterday's news calibrates. It doesn't take you off where you're going. If you want to become a millionaire, if you want to become the biggest guy in town, if you want the biggest business, if you want to reach the goals, which this one gentleman said every Sunday does, what he said he does, oh, I do that absolutely as well. I couldn't picture going to bed any night of the week without having my next week mapped out. Of course it's going to be mapped out. You don't do it? Absolutely. I've done it my entire life. So, yeah, we've had a long time of lots of good stuff happening to the market, and generally speaking, the prices have been, again, nationwide. Every pocket can be different, but it's been going very well. It's been going very well. We're very thankful for that. Some of us have made a lot of money about that, but that is a problem because everybody tends to say what goes up must come down, it's going too fast, it's going to come to a halt. Oh boy, I'm so glad I've had great years, but I can't wait for tomorrow, it's going to be terrible. Right? We're always wanting the bubble to burst. Get over it. It will burst at some time. I mean, there will be cycles. We are clearly at the moment in a good cycle, and nobody better than to talk about cycles later on than Lawrence. He'll give you the mortgage rates and the prices. He's expert at that, much better than I am. So let's go. Skip one here quickly. What is this one? Cost of commercial real estate is too high. Right? So we are concerned when money becomes scarcer and properties become. You don't have enough to list, there's not enough on the market, the good stuff is not coming around. You also, if I could buy that building at the price which it sold for 5 years ago, I would so do that. Yeah, always easy to look back. There's always a shortage of good stuff, but there's a shortage of good stuff everywhere. Good houses, good commercial buildings, good shopping centers, good management, good technology. So good is always scarce. So it's okay that it's scarce, except that you just have to work around it. You don't have to get all the buildings in town, you just have to get the buildings that your competitors don't get. You're not fighting Google. Yes, Google's in the place. Yes, Google has information. Yes, Google can do what they would like to do. Yes, Amazon can do lots of stuff. Yes, Facebook is pretty cool everywhere. Yes, I understand CoStar is right. But there's a lot of stuff. You're fighting the guy sitting down next to you in the passage here, right? We're all just humans in the market. Our competition is here. You can beat your competition. Because your competition is just another person like you. You just have to be better, smarter, and work harder. Can you do that? Oh, why could you not do that? It's just simply a commitment. So this will just help you with the information so that you don't get lost somewhere in the journey. Because there is a lot of stuff flying around, right? There's a lot of stuff flying around. Number two, your industry, way more than the residential industry, is so dependent on money. Even in residential, of course, people need money to go buy a house. But if a house is, I know California doesn't really know these prices, but when it's the 200,000s or the 800,000s, I mean, I always surprised. I was in Vancouver yesterday, and I'm going to be in Sioux Falls, Dakotas, in 2 days' time. But you get to some of these areas that people tell you, oh, I bought this 5-bedroom house with 2 garages and a family room and everything for $142,000. Like, I couldn't even do my landscaping for that. So we are in an expensive area residential-wise, hence we're in an expensive area commercial-wise, right? Property is on high demand in here. But be grateful that you're not in Vancouver, because Vancouver is even more crazy, right? Mountain View, Menlo Park, Silicon Valley, more crazy. New York, Manhattan, more crazy. So we are in one of the best, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6, does it matter how many we lie on the top 10 list? Who cares? You're definitely in the top 1%. I mean, we're right up there. So things are expensive, which means that anybody who's screwing around with my money is going to impact my life. Whether it's the bank, whether it's a change in legislation, whether it's exchanges, whether it's a president, anybody coming in and saying, I'm going to make it difficult for you, I'm going to change the rules. That's a pain in the ass. Because that you want money and you want your buyers and your sellers to have access to money. So we understand that every time something happens, it's a concern. And about 10 years ago, as you all know, 2007, remember the bad years? 2008, 2009, 2010. So during that period of time, we unfortunately, because we screwed up, now whether it was the residential side, the commercial side, we screwed up well. And as a result of that, we've had outside forces now step into our lives. Most of us, I would think, generally would prefer government to keep their fingers out of our cash register, right? No taxes. No, I have to pay taxes. Okay, so less taxes, less rules, less regulations. But we also understand that systems and structures and societies need rules. Otherwise, they don't function. So it's this balance between you need an infrastructure, you need a government, you need a president, you need rules, but you don't want it in your backyard. Anybody else's backyard? No, not my backyard. Don't touch my cash. Touch his cash. He's got lots of money, take his money. I want all the tax deductions, but he should get tax deductions. So I'll be the low percentage, he'll be the high percentage. The rules don't apply to me, the rules apply to you. That's just human nature. We're all like that. And it's fine. So all we're saying is that we understand that every time we hear of a rumor that 1031 exchange is going to go away, right? We get paranoid. It doesn't mean we shouldn't be concerned, but we sometimes make the problems way worse than it really is. We get overly concerned. We've seen that now in the residential industry many times, and we're now seeing that in the commercial industry. Although these two industries are apart, we're siblings in the same family. We basically are somewhat the same. We speak the same verbiage, the same language, and there are commonality in names and companies and processes in both, whether it's the association. And when you're in the one and you feel you're more superior to the other group, you tend to say, we're not the same. And when you're in the inferior group, you look at the other group, you tend to say, we are the same. But I've done research both from top to bottom, and we're probably 60-65% identical. So there's a core of us which is the same. Yes, the client is different, but there is a client. The sales process is different, but there is a sales process. The commission rates are different, but there is still commission. There are independent contracts, there are training, there's an aging, there's a demographic, there's a product, there's a service we put on the net, we share the line. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. Hence, you have companies like CBRE, which originally came from the name Coldwell Banker, who's a residential company. They were at one stage one. Is the one better than the other one? No, they're just different. The residential company is huge, and the commercial company is also huge. They're both global. So we get worried about changes, which is okay. You should be aware about it, and absolutely, there's a service that you should subscribe to that gives you daily information, weekly information. I don't even know what that service is. I'm telling you, subscribe to it. You should get access to knowledge. You should know what's going on. And if anybody's going to do effort for you to put things together like this, why would you not read it? If I spend 400 hours, you can't spend 120 minutes, 180 minutes to get glued up? What's wrong with you? Of course you should read it. Because it's a shortcut. We all take shortcuts. It's good. Right? The problem is sometimes with regulations is that there's a perception from us as people that when they change the rules, they make it harder. Because we look back to the old days. Do you remember 1942 when you and I got to this the first time? There was none of these rules. We always look back at the airlines and we said, do you remember when you could actually fly and you could get the whole row to yourself? Do you remember when you could check in and there weren't actually lines, you didn't have to worry about all your baggage and clothing? We always look back at the past and we always wonder and we say, oh, do you just remember then? Yeah, life's tough. Grow up. It's getting tougher. But it's getting tougher for everybody. Not just you, so stop whining, right? Everybody's got tougher. That's fine. The bar, the benchmark, just moves the whole time. Just picks up a little bit. It's okay. You're good, aren't you? I thought you're smashing, you're smart, you're talented, you're knowledgeable. Which means the benchmark's being moved up. Great. It gets rid of more scum at the bottom of the pile, right? Because our industry is known for that we have, and people say, I heard some gospel, you can't say that. Why not? There are some places in this country where you can get a license to become a real estate professional fairly quickly. The lowest bar I can find is 40 hours. That's 1 week, which means you can start on Monday or Friday. I can theoretically get your license to real estate. You have to acknowledge that that is not good. It takes 1,200 hours in this state to be able to get a license to be able to cut my toenails or to do my hair. Now, why does it take 1,200 hours to cut hair and do toenails, but it only takes, in this state, maybe I might think 120 hours if I remember correctly, roughly ballpark, a tenth of that, or maybe an eighth of that, or maybe a seventh of that, to sell big assets and valuable assets and financial instruments and long-term debt and 20-year debt? I mean, they're not comparable. So our industry has a low barrier to entry, generally speaking. Every state is different. Which means that we have in our industry smart people, brilliant people, efficient people, great people, ethical people, hardworking people. Call it what you like. They're awesome. And on the other side of the spectrum, what do you have? Yahoos. No. I mean, shysters. People which don't do as hard as you do. So our industry is very diverse. And that's okay. You're probably all on this side. Why? Because you're here. You're already vindicated that you care. So you're already here. So I don't think that any of you are here. I'm not worried about that part. But if they were all as smart as you, it would be hard to compete. They're not all as smart as you. They're not all as hardworking as you. They're not all as ethical as you. I'm not picking on one person. I'm just saying the market is diverse. If you go to medical school, if you go to engineering school, if you go to architecture school, it takes what? 5, 6, 7, 8, sometimes 9 years of residency and practice and in training and apprenticeship and mentorship. Oh, right? So if you go through some kind of long process like that, does that not somehow improve your skill set? Does that not improve your ability? Does that not give you the ability to do something better? Does that not weed out the guys that couldn't cut it? Yeah, in our industry where we don't have that grading, we by definition allow more people into our space. Which is great because it means you can come into this space relatively green, relatively rookie, and hit a home run. This is one of the few industries where you can get to 6-figure and 7-figure income within getting into the industry in a relatively short period of time, where if you want to do 7 figures as a medical doctor, it's probably going to take you 10 or 12 years just through school to get to the starting blocks. You're 12 years in real estate, commercial real estate, you know what you're doing? You could be earning that number. Now, there are not many that earn that number, but it's possible because the industry has a very easy access way in. So, next chapter in this book, and we can talk about the summaries if you want me to give you the summaries every time. How's my time? We started late, so I'm guessing I'm getting the extra time. Otherwise, you can just put your hand up if you want me to read. All right. So, crowdfunding. If money gets scarce because of regulation, maybe foreign markets, because of capital scarcity, the market will, by definition in America, seek different ways to find money. a way which many people which we spoke to, which were the leaders of big companies, were excited about, is crowdsourcing. Simply because we've never really allowed individuals access to commercial property purchases, generally speaking. It's hard. The average individual which has, I don't know, 1 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand, can't go buy the Westfield shopping center. How does he even get involved in the transaction in the first place? Now through crowdsourcing, where you can, through the internet, an undisclosed amount, a small amount, an insignificant amount from multiple people, from the crowd, you can collect $1, $10, $20, $50, and put it together, and you can create big sums of money. So this new crowdsourcing way of financing, theoretically, anything, whether it's a charitable donation, it's a upstart technology, or a commercial development, can now be funded through what they call this new opportunity for the market to get together. If this is really going to explode where they think it could explode to, it could potentially completely redefine funding of commercial buildings. Because there could be, again, if you need a $50 million for a project, that's a lot of money for a bank to go through scrutiny to decide whether you're going to get it. But if 50 million people each just give you $1, that's a whole different ballgame. So there are some of these big companies which are super enamored and excited about the potential of this growing with leaps and bounds. And of course, it has no barriers, it has no borders. Crowdsourcing doesn't have to be just in your neighborhood. You could have the one guy in Australia, one guy in England, one guy in the Serengeti, one guy in China give you the money. That's okay, right? As we said in America, greenbacks are green, right? That's okay. It doesn't really matter where the money comes from. Now, of course, not like opium money and South America black money and stolen money. Of course, none of that. You never break the rules, so don't go crazy on me. But it is a new source where we can get access to money, which people are saying, whoops, don't you do all that and you go so fast, right? It's an interesting way in which we can expand our opportunities. We like that one. Access to more goodies, more buildings, more people, more buyers, more sellers, more money. Good, always good. All right, number 4. Now these weren't put in exactly in an order, but they were put roughly in the weighted feeling that I felt came from the people. So there was a lot of concern about money, global regulations. And then about in the middle of this list, everybody just went berserk on technology. I mean, it's like everybody went big about it. It's just e-commerce, it's the cloud, it's being taken over, retail is changing, Amazon is taking over the world. I mean, there's all this fear. So what I thought I would do is we put it into 2 large categories. One about technology in general, which I'll talk about, and then there's a smaller category which I would call e-commerce. Clearly, e-commerce is part of technology, but it is so uniquely, distinctively different, and it is so large that I actually felt it warrants its own section just because of what's happening and the potential impact it could have on things like retail, where you live, where you shop, where you buy. So because this is a fun chapter, I have an awesome talk, better than this one, right? Which is about a 2-hour talk just on tech stuff. And I have about 1,000 videos in my library of tech stuff. So I have staff which every day would find me the coolest tech stuff which came out today. So every day I'm adding to my library. And what we do is we do like a 2-hour go to the movies together, right? And I'll show you maybe about 40 videos, which are all maybe, let's say, 30 seconds long, of technology which we think could shape real estate. So what I did is from that big library of 1,000, I just picked you guys 6. You guys want to watch 6? 6 is okay, right? So what I did is, here's one which, just give you an indication, so this is wireless technology. Now, we would say, well, yeah, my phone's wireless. Did you know that? My iPad is wireless. Yes, but can you charge it with power wirelessly? So if you can physically send a telex signature, or a text signature, or a voice packet, or an email, or stream a movie, why can't I stream electricity? There's no logical reason. Because I've just shown you that I can go from one word to one sentence to a book to a video to a picture. If I can send you Titanic over the sky, why can't I send you electricity over the sky? So they've now perfected it, they've got it right. Not me, I'm not involved. If I show you anything, I don't have shares in any of this stuff. I'm not promoting it. Somebody has now patented, registered, they formed a company, guess, next IPO, some young 20s whippersnapper is going to become more wealthy than all of us combined. We're going to feel super bad about that. Okay, get over it. We picked real estate, me too, so I'm in this space. All right, so here's a clip from her. Oh, come on. Well, maybe not. Maybe it's not wireless. So apparently you won't see that one. But as I said to you, this company has allowed you now to physically send. What they do is they take a little electricity pocket, they apparently slice it up into about 100 pieces. And then they break into small compartments, and just like you get a text, they send it little packets. They send you 100 little packets of electricity per second right behind your email on the same signal. You don't even have to get a new signal. Now, of course, you're going to have to sign some kind of new contract, but which means if you come to an event like this one, maybe, we'll charge all of your phones while you're sitting here. Super cool. When you draw your Tesla into the garage, it charges itself. You don't have to worry about your phone at night. You get onto a plane and your phone and your laptop charges on the plane. Now I can go those international trips to Taiwan and spend 15 hours on the plane, my phone never gets dead, right? So it does change the rules. Now just think some of the developments in the buildings which you're doing. If the location of power and the sources of plugs are no longer critical, would that change the layout and the design of certain buildings? Well, absolutely. Next one, self-driving cars. We all know that Google drives around and takes street view pictures, but do you know that every single car manufacturer at the moment in Detroit already has a self-driving car and is preparing to put it out on the market? I don't mean the one which parks itself and the one which got a little camera beeps when you reverse. You're still driving that way. I'm talking about a one which drives on its own. You're folding your hands or you're sitting in the back seat. Now tell me, are you comfortable by being picked up by Uber at LAX when there's no driver in the car? Oh, tough one, right? So the hard part always isn't can the technology do that. The technology can already do that. Every car manufacturer can already give us a car like that. The question is, if a car, let's say I have a kid of 2, which my kid is 32, but let's say I have a kid of 2 and he has to go to school, I can't take him, so I have my driverless car take him to school. My dad is 94. He shouldn't be driving, he hasn't got a license, I'm taking it away from him, taking his car away from him. But let's say he wants to go to the shops, he wants to go look at, I don't know, the new Batman. So he wants to go, but he can't drive, I can't take him. So I have another driverless car take him to the movies. So now I have a driverless car driving a 94-year-old and a driverless car driving a 2-year-old somewhere. They have an accident. They crash. Who are you going to sue? Right? Is it me because I should never let the driverless car do that? Is it the manufacturer of the car? Is it the software? Is it the Department of Motor Vehicles which should never have given the car a license because the car doesn't have a person? Is it the dog that ran over the road? Is it the 94-year-old guy who's been longer on the planet? Or is it the 2-year-old guy that doesn't even know what's going on? All of the above. Yeah, let's do them all. Deep pockets. And that's probably what will happen. And that's what happens is we as society create things and then we're not ready for it. And we struggle with the big daddy regulation, looking over my shoulder, access to my information, I don't want you to know what I'm doing kind of stuff. And then somebody has to die, somebody has to get sued, we have to go to court a few times, and then we figure it out and then we don't worry about it. I mean, how many of you have sleepless night about the cancer which you're getting from because of your mobile phone? None of you anymore. 20 years ago, it was headline newspaper. We didn't want mobile phones because we're going to give us cancer. Now today, either you did not get cancer, so it was overrated, so don't believe everything you read in the newspaper. Or alternatively, you're getting cancer, you don't care. Right? Which one is it? I mean, both are bad. So we get accustomed to things. That's okay, that's growth. That's growth. All right, so here's an example of some of the cars available. I know that's the speaker not going sleeping on me. Sounds like it. Let me see if I can play that clip again for you guys.
Last year, a BMW drove itself down the Autobahn. Audi sent an autonomous vehicle up Pikes Peak, and at the Tokyo Auto Show in November, Toyota unveiled its Prius AVOS, which is an acronym for Automatic Vehicle Operation System, which can be summoned by the rider.
So just quickly, a few things from that. They're already starting to give automatically driving cars names like AVOS, so you can already see they're starting to brand it. Then you see the guys on an iPhone, that is so Tom Cruise. I mean, that is so Mission Impossible, right? Really? You're going to call your phone? So I already have a struggle going just down the 5 or the 405 because I live in San Clemente. So I mean, the freeways are hell here in California. I've been here for 25 years. Can you think if there's another zillion driverless cars on the freeway at the same time too? So it's hard. Uber is now considering making all of their cars driverless cars. They want to put an order in. The city council doesn't want to approve that. So you're preventing my business. So let me sue you for that. But if we create driverless cars, will that change shopping? Retail, parking spots. Because this car will never have to park. An Uber car can just go around and pick somebody up the whole time, just drive the whole time, 24 hours a day. It can just charge itself. And when it needs gas or electricity, it goes back to a charging station, which will be wireless and just charge itself while it's going somewhere. You won't have to park a car at the airport anymore, but you'll have an Uberless car driver who's drop you off at the airport and pick you up. It'll always be ready when you're there. I mean, so that changes some of the rules. Next one. 3D printing. Not what you'd expect. Not plastic. Not metal. Not paper. Food. First 3D restaurant in the world. Opened in London last month. I think we should get stock in that company. I don't have it, but Food Inc. is a pretty cool name. Everything on the menu is printed on a 3D machine at your table in front of you. The whole menu. Now, of course, the menu is not as long as Cheesecake Factory. It's got a limited menu, it's got one page, but it can already make desserts and chocolate and ice cream and cheese-related stuff and bread-related stuff. Yeah, it's still struggling with the filet mignon. I get that part, right? but it's got some stuff down. Can you see where it's going? The first machine that I could also, again, I don't own these machines, the first machine I could also find has now made a human liver. Now that's getting a little like scary, like, right? So are you not messing with the guy upstairs? Can you actually, now if you're dying or your parent is dying of some disease and this machine is able to reproduce with their own DNA and organ, we'd all go like, yes, save the life. But it does become a little scary. If I can make a liver, can I make more? Yes. If I can make more, can I make the totality? Can I make a whole? So can I make a copy of you as you age? Well, theoretically, if I can make one piece, I can make the rest. If I can make the whole, what is the new thing called? Is it called part 2? Is it your same name? Does it take over when you die? Can you have them at the same time? I mean, you have this whole bunch of new regulations, which we haven't even figured that stuff out. If they can do that with technology, don't for a second think they can't change commercial real estate. Your guys' industry is not hard. Remember the low entry to barrier kind of stuff? So, I mean, this is off the reservation. This is like scary stuff. This is like I'm watching a movie. So it's interesting. So on the e-commerce side, we are very concerned because the ability to basically click and buy something anywhere, anytime, any place, to ship it somewhere, to have somebody get it, that changes the whole dynamics of, remember when you and your mom always went Sundays to the shopping mall when it was closed because you just went shopping to look through the windows and your little sticky fingers on the prints on the outside of the glass? Where do 14-year-old girls go on Friday nights, right? They all go to the mall, which is a safe zone, nice place to go shop, look at the dresses, go look at the clothing which they have to get. Now, it's Amazon shopping, and of course it's all the other retailers as well. So when we say that Borders struggle, and we say that, what was it, Circuit City struggle, and we say that that Blockbuster struggle, those are probably just early indications of companies which are probably not that well managed in any event, so they probably didn't die because of the internet. They're probably because they were probably at the lower pile. Because as much as Circuit City disappeared, Best Buy didn't disappear. Best Buy has actually been going gangbusters since that happened. So yes, we lost Barnes and Borders, but Barnes and Noble is still around, struggling, still around. But it is an indication that as business moves away from your doorstep to his doorstep, whether it's physical traffic or online traffic, it's leaving your doorstep going to his doorstep. You go like, yes! You go like, oh, shucks. The internet is moving where business is going. So I thought I would show you 3 things that I could hear in the voice of the CEOs which we spoke to, where it could dramatically impact, of course, retail. By definition, and retail impacts industrial because of the delivery in the shopping centers. And then where people want to live. We keep on saying that the millennials want to be downtown, they want to be in the city, they want to be close to where it's happening. They don't want cars. Now, some people have said they just haven't grown up to want the picket fence with the 2 dogs and a cat and a wife or the neighborhood yet, the suburbs. But there's also some people who say maybe they're different. Immigration populations are also larger today than they were 100 years ago, which means that the total population is more impacted by diversity today than it was 100 years ago. Diversity decisions are different from a decision which is one singular group. So with both the diversity and the technology and the age, it is very clear that it's happening, and I don't think we can stop it. So I thought I would show you 3 things quickly. This is an Amazon warehouse.
Meet Amazon's newest holiday service, the Kiva robots. At this fulfillment center in Tracy, California, more than 3,000 of them cruise the warehouse floor, helping employees fill millions of orders.
The little orange robot goes out and picks the right product inventory and brings it back just at the right time for the person to pick the item out to go in the customer shipment.
Before the Kiva robots, the workers used to walk the warehouse aisles picking up the items. But now they stay on these platforms, and the robots bring the shelves and the items directly to them. The 320-pound robots can lift up to 750 pounds. They have motion sensors to detect objects in their way and can travel between 3 and 4 miles per hour. Amazon's
the co-founders of
Okay, we go backward. So the interesting part is not the little robot thing. I mean, that's okay. But the fact that previously a person would sit here, look at the electronic order and say, oh, one toothpaste, one video. And then would walk, right, to go and get the toothpaste from that corner and then go get the video in that corner. So it would take like 5 minutes or 10 minutes and come back and say, yeah, got it. Oh, I took the wrong toothpaste. Yeah. Go back and fetch the toothpaste. That's 5 or 10 minutes, which we would say is nothing. Now these Kiva machines, when the order comes in, reads the order, knows where the product's on the shelf, brings the shelf here, puts it in the right order. That I was just sitting here, when my order pops up, toothpaste video, I look at the shelf next to me, it's already got the shelf in front of me, it's already turned the shelf, it's already moved the shelf, that the video which I have to take is right in front of me, so I just go like, chick, chick, chick. So where they used to take 5 to 10 minutes per order, they're now saying they're taking 5 to 10 seconds per order. What a huge change in production. So saving in costs. Now you can say, well, that's okay, it just gets to my home because FedEx gets there. So Europe has just said, what happens if you'd like to have a local delivery? This is a new local delivery device in Europe if you want groceries from your local store.
The co-founders of Skype are launching a fleet of delivery robots that drive on sidewalks and can carry the equivalent of 2 grocery bags. We chatted with CEO Ati Heinla to learn more. Explain to me how it works.
So this is a local delivery robot that goes with pedestrian speeds. So it is not meant to cover great distances. So this is not going to bring you something from the other end of the city. This is delivering things from your local neighborhood hub. So we're building the hubs, which are small shipping containers, and we're putting them in the local neighborhoods. And the robots live in there, and they go out of the house to bring you parcels.
So now we have all this driving cars on the road. And these little things on the damn side.
Maybe, but
wanting to cross the road. See how it's becoming all automated? Now where I live is probably not that important anymore. So if I get older, if I change, if I can't drive, if I can't read, it doesn't really matter anymore because I just go click, click, home delivery. And you could say, well, okay, Dad, he said it's only like in the local community, it's like 2 blocks, 3 blocks. I'm further out. You don't understand, Stefan. I really live like in the rural area. Okay, I got a solution for that one too. Just here, this is, Amazon has now done its first drone delivery, but it was just a test case. This is UPS, which have just launched this. This is cool video. Don't you do that to me, technology?
Just went up the road.
Yeah. UPS. Regular Mr. Brown truck, right? What can Brown do for you? Well, this Brown can do a lot. And it's pretty slick for UPS. Basically what happens is that the drone can go do separate deliveries from Europe. You can get the package. They've even now got it to such an extent that, let's say the UPS truck's gone out, and you put an order in like 10 minutes or half an hour later, you go like, I missed the deadline, but I want a 30-minute delivery. Then they deliver the package from the UPS center to the truck. And then the truck gets rerouted to your stop first if you pay a premium delivery. Yeah, somebody's going to make money out of us, right? So all UPS and FedEx trucks have a delivery schedule which has been calculated which stop is first and which is second by the computer. But you can now change that order by paying the extra money. So again, it changes all the rules again. Where I buy, where I shop, what I do. All right, demographics. We hear all these many talks about baby boomers, I'm one of those, and the millennials and the Gen X's and the Gen Y's. Don't get too hung up about the different generations. All you need to understand is that people that grew up in different countries, people that grew up in different times, people that grew up in different circumstances have different opinions. That's all it really means. Somebody who is 25 years is not smarter than you. He just grew up in a different environment. So if you're 50-something today or 60-something today, you might listen to Fleetwood Mac and the Beatles. If you're 25, you might not listen to the Beatles, you think that's a bug running around. But when they listen to a music called 9 Inch Nails, you go like, that's the thing I go get at Home Depot, right? It's not, and they go, no, it's music. And they go like Smashing Pumpkins, and your mother says, eat your Smashing Pumpkins, right? We have different perceptions. I was born in a different country. I lived in 3 different countries for more than 6 years each. I have a huge empathy for the fact that we are different because of where we come from and our exposure to it. That's what demographics just says. But we do have a bubble of people that are, by definition, our kids. And those kids grew up in a period of time which the internet and Google and eBay and the iPhone, which is the gateway to the universe, right, solves all their problems. You might still go to a priest. You might still go to a book. You might still talk to a parent. They go to google.com, amazon.com, or instagram.com for all the solutions to life. Right? You and I wouldn't go to Instagram for solutions. But a 14-year-old girl might. So because they think differently, and as that demographic physically grows up, they want different things in their schools, their houses, their shops, their offices, where they live. Right? They don't want to live where you live because they don't have your needs. You wanted this kind of room, they wanted that kind of a room. You were happy with this TV, they want one of those 80-inch big ones. Right, you're happy with your music coming out of your speakers, they want it through Bluetooth wirelessly through a system. You want to do one thing at a time, they want to listen, they want to watch Survivor and play World of Warcraft and be texting and Facebook at the same time. Right? It's just different, it's not better. You need to understand that this upcoming generation, which 20 years ago, you didn't care what they said because they were in school 20 years ago. Why do you care now? Because they're in the workforce now. You're hiring them. And 5 or 10 years from now, they might be your boss. Like, they are coming, they are moving into decision-making positions which will impact our life. That's why real estate is changing. Because of technology, because of decision makers. If I have a company, I'm not anti-age, I'm the same age. But if you have a company which has got a 65-year-old person in charge compared to a 25-year-old, the decisions taken on most of the times will be different. If we look at the 20 largest real estate companies in the nation, I track real estate significantly more than commercial, but we do track both. On the residential side, 30% of the CEOs of the top 20 companies, the holding companies, have all retired this year. 30% in 1 year. Why? Because they got old. They reached retirement age. They weren't fired. They didn't do anything wrong. They were brilliant. But they've been around as long as the furniture has. They've been around a long, long time. At some stage, you've got to say, you know, maybe at 75, I'm not quite as sharp as I was at 35. Maybe at 75, I want to play with my grandkids and not play with the staff. But you know, at 75, maybe I want to go spend the money which I made for 40 years. That's nothing wrong with that. That's pretty normal. All right, which we've got next? Sustainability, I'll try and wrap up here. I'll try and wrap up here this week. Sustainability, we all know that feeling green is good. We like green, we talk green, we speak green. But then when you have to do green, you don't want to do green. All right? Why? Because green is expensive. So when we spoke to the owners and developers of buildings, everybody basically said, it's great, but it doesn't fill my building. It costs me too much. Go back. Go back. You're right, go back. Now come on, I shall listen. No problem. I will do that. No, good. And I will make sure that you get a copy of the book. How's that? Yes, we'll do that. So we all agree that we should do LEED and green and sustainability and water. We should love the little rabbits and the butterflies. Yeah, I get that. And we all do that. As long as the butterfly doesn't hold up my highway, right? As long as it doesn't stop my airport, as long as it doesn't stop my building. And that's the problem. Most of us say that we are, as Americans, generally behind certain places in Europe, and those are the countries which are mentioned the most. But people would say, I come from wherever, right? And they do it there better than you guys do. Yeah, we're very capitalistic in this country, right? Money first. That's why many of us immigrated here, that's why we grew up here, that's why we love this place. because we can make lots of money and not share it with anyone. Keep it for ourselves. So, what we generally say is that green will become cool when I can afford it. That hurts. That hurts, right? That's not what you should say publicly in newspapers, but that's what we physically do with our checkbooks. Then, last one, second to last one. Having a new president in any country will change anything. Having one which you can't track or determine or know what the hell he's going to do makes it 10 times harder, right? So we try in this chapter to identify the things that we think he will be focusing on. We don't tell you what he's going to do because I don't know if he knows what he's going to do. So if we understand that it's complex and it's hard, you have to track it. We're just saying, here are the things that he could do or might do which impact real estate, which you should be aware of. So we'll give you those tips. And then the last but not the least one, there were a bunch of other little smaller things that people said, which didn't seem that big, but I couldn't ignore them. I'll give you some examples. Yeah. Let's go back. Cybersecurity, license, whatever it is, mergers and acquisitions. Companies are definitely growing bigger and bigger, right? If you have lots of money, if you have good cash flow, you buy another one, and you get to a stage where you're too big to fail almost, and you can borrow money almost anywhere. That doesn't mean that life is over for a small entrepreneur. There's always small transactions, local business relationships, absolutely. But bigger companies do get bigger, and with size does come some clout, some ability to do things which small people can't do. That's okay. Don't compete against the big company on what his strengths are. Compete with the big company against your strengths. You can take quick decisions. You're a board of one. You're nimble, right? You can do a one-on-one relationship. A big company that is based in New York struggles to do a local relationship. Now, they have a local representative, get that. It's still hard because they sometimes would change shop easier, move on. You're not moving anywhere. Some of these people said they've been in the industry which on stage here, what, 30, 40 years? That's relationship, right? That doesn't go anywhere. The one I thought we quickly discuss is we discussed the very last thing, cybersecurity, just because it is huge. We always struggle with the media and what stats are true and I don't know, but these are the three most credible stats I could find that seem to be accurate. So you can see Wall Street Journal, Lloyd's of London, and Forbes, and each of them, with a different year attached, estimated the size of cybersecurity, cybercrime, money that's been defrauded of some kind of way through the internet. Now you can see one of those, 2 years ago, and then 4 years ago, and then maybe 2 years from now. So it doesn't matter, but 100 billion, 400 billion, and the bottom one, which is 2,000 billion, which of course is 2 trillion, that is a hell of a lot of money which is disappearing. So we are saying, especially on the residential side, where people are receiving emails which says, transfer your funds across, put it into this account, don't worry, get it here. The same applies to you guys, of course. Be very sensitive, be very careful what you receive, double check. We see a lot of phishing these days, a lot of scamming where you get emails which look very similar. They take somebody else's email, they change one letter, turn it back, turn it forward, do a .net, do a .info, .biz, or a hard word, they add another letter in. I've actually seen a person who scammed somebody else who actually improved the logo of the company which they were scamming. Because the name of the logo of the company that was scamming was actually missing a letter because they couldn't get it original. Somehow the scammer got the letter. But you look at the scam letter, it actually looks better than the original letter. Wow. Be just cautious. You are dealing with money, you're dealing with big sums, you're dealing with other people's money. It could change the world. All right, let's see what's next here. I think we're probably close to. Okay, there's the reports. So if you would like the top report, this report, the commercial report, which I tried to whisk through today, didn't have enough time, 125 pages, bit.ly, bit.ly/CRE for commercial real estate alert, the name of the report. You're welcome to get it down courtesy of the National Association of Realtors and your local association. The second one is the danger report. That is basically the equivalent one, which is the residential one. It's a more comprehensive report, but it is basically somewhat the same principles. That you can just go to dangerreport.com. Then the one at the bottom is not going to be a free one if you wanted to get that one. That is the one which is not sponsored by INR. The top two are, that's my own one. The 2018 report, you can't buy it yet, so I'm not trying to sell it to you, simply because I haven't written it yet. Right? It's only coming out in February. I always write it in the last quarter of every year, and it comes out in the beginning of February. Those three reports will help you significantly have the knowledge which everybody said you should have. The top report, 20 copies, don't kill me, I still love you if I can't give you a copy. You're welcome to come and fetch one. I hope I've been informative today. There's your copy, sir. Yes, thank you. My pleasure. Okay.